Hey folks, so welcome to Intro to Creative Writing. I want you to imagine this video as that moment where your professor stands in front of you in the classroom and talks to you about what the course is about. I'm going to try to not make it as long as that because good grief, all right? So that's the reason why I've got the syllabus pulled up here, just because it feels official to say the syllabus, right? And you have likely seen that the syllabus is linked on Blackboard and then also at the top of every course schedule. So I just sort of have it here as a level of comfort. This is familiar, right? All the information about how to contact me and some really important policies about how I would like us to behave toward each other are in this document, and I really want you to read it, but I'm not going to insult your intelligence and read it to you. That seems strange, right? We adults here. So I'm going to skip over to another document, which is called Course Overview. I'm going to show you where to find it a little bit later, but this is actually linked in our course schedule. So this is an Intro to Creative Writing course, and I want you to think about the class as having really three halves, okay? So in the first half, the first 3 weeks, we are actually going to be looking at the elements of creative writing that cut across all forms of creative writing so that we can have a common language of how to assess writing that isn't ours and writing that is ours, seeing what's working, what isn't working. The second chunk of the semester will be us working through 3 common and several uncommon genres of creative writing. So the 3 common ones are creative nonfiction, poetry, and short fiction, right? But I'm also going to be looking at some multimodal and experimental and or fringe types of writing that often don't get the love that they deserve. Okay, and then the last chunk of the class is actually where we're going to rethink what revision means and what it means to participate in a writing community, because a key part of this class is going to be learning how to give engaged and supportive feedback to our peers and to be able to receive that. And a lot of that means unlearning a bit of the trauma that many of us have around receiving and giving writing feedback. All right. So I'm not going to read the course objectives at you, but I think I've actually gone through them as I've described what the course is about. Okay. The only required course materials, and if you see my other video, you've seen me hold this up, is Janet Burroway's Imaginative Writing 4th edition. You're also going to need a Tumblr account that's free. A Slack account that's free. I'm going to send you an invite if you haven't already accepted it. And then you're going to need your Kent State Google Suite. Part of what I've done in this course is intentionally choose 3 very free things that any of us can access even through our phones, because I do realize that some of our students are only accessing the internet via their phones. And so I'm really trying to be mindful of that and how I am putting together this class so that it is as accessible as possible to each and every one of us. All right. So if you've had me before, you know that all of my courses are worth 100 points, and I find that people genuinely like to know what their points are for their class. Imagine that. So I want you to keep in mind that 80% of your writing is going to come from very easy to accomplish, low stakes writing workshop activities. And that is on purpose, because this idea that you'll just write draft of things and I'll slap a grade on it really is not how creative writing works. So I needed to create a space for us to play and experiment in a safe way and feel like very confident that no matter what you've experimented with, that I'm not going to be like, oh, that's terrible. Like, who does that, right? So keep that in mind. There's a lot of writing in this class. Hello, writing class. But it is fun, easy, and low stakes writing in the sense that there's no high stakes grade attached to 80% of your grade. All right. So I'm going to show you what that 80% of your grade is. The bulk of it, 30% of it, are these Tumblr posts, these writing prompts that I'm going to ask you to do. They're actually something like 33 or 34 Tumblr blogs that I'm going to ask you to do during the semester. They're teeny tiny things to accomplish. Like maybe 20 minutes, half an hour. Some of them are in class, some of them are out of class. You get a point for each one. I have a little chart for each one of you where I track which ones you've done. You don't need to see that. That's boring. But yeah, there's that. The next thing is that, remember how I said we're going to practice like 3 common and 1 uncommon genre of writing? Well, you'll do a work in progress of each draft, a creative nonfiction draft, a poetry draft, a flash fiction draft, and then an experimental or multimodal draft, right? And I'm actually not going to grade the drafts. I'm going to, if you bring in a draft that day to workshop, you get the points, right? You get 5 points for each one of those drafts. That adds to 20. Now, the next thing is that when you're bringing in that workshop draft, you're going to be peer reviewing. And I know a lot of professors are like, oh, if you just show up to peer review, you get the points, right? This is actually the thing that I'm going to be assessing you on, right? Are you actually engaging with your peers' writing, or are you phoning it in, right? So I really want you to take seriously the writing that your peers are sharing with you, to be enthusiastic and supportive about their writing and not tear them down, right? But because there's a way to say, hey, I think that this one thing is really working. I wonder if it could even be stronger if you followed that thread. Or this thing for me doesn't seem to be hitting the mark. I'm wondering what you're thinking about here. Can you talk to us about that, right? That's what I'm looking for, right? This idea that somehow we should just tear each other's writing, kind of like that scene in Cinderella where the stepsisters are ripping at the Cinderella's dress. That was messed up, right? And I think a lot of times we think that that's the cool way to respond to each other's writing, but in fact it's not, and nobody actually grows if you respond in that way, right? So the idea is to be engaged and constructive and enthusiastic, looking for possibility in our peers' writings, all right? And then the other bit is class participation, which I grade holistically, right, at the end of the semester. So if you've participated 80% of the time or more, you're going to get an A. 70% of the time, you're probably going to get a B, right? And 60% of the time, you're probably going to get a C, hopefully not worse, right? The 20% of your grade in this class that is somewhat high stakes is simply this. Remember those 4 drafts that I said you're going to workshop in this class? Well, you're going to pick just one of them, right? You'll have already written it and you'll have already workshopped it 3 times. You're going to just take one of those and say, you know what, this is the one I want to work on and really, really revise. And I want to submit it to Dr. G for a grade. So that's actually worth 20 points, 20% of your grade. But if you look at the final exam prompt, right? This is the only thing you're turning into me that I'm grading. 15 points of it is actually the quality of your revisions. There's no page length, there's no format length, it's just the quality of your revisions. The other 5 points of that 20 points is, again, how well did you encourage your peers and respond to your peers who I put in a writing support group with you? Toward the end of the semester, once you tell me what piece you decide to revise, whether that's poetry or creative nonfiction or flash fiction or one of your experimental pieces, I put you into like-minded groups, and the idea is that you all have to support each other in that, right? And you get 5 points of that final grade, or how well you engaged in that process with your peers. All right, so that's the class, that's the grade. This is an easy class. So just keep that in mind and just be enthusiastic, okay? My office hours in this class are from 8:30 to, that's wrong, it's from 8 to 10:30, Tuesday, Thursday mornings on Zoom. You can contact me then. During class, I will be literally in front of my computer, just like you. And you can contact me via Slack using the Ask GPAT channel. You can direct message me. You can call me on the phone via Skype, and you can also video chat me via Skype. So I will be literally right there with you. So even though we're not doing a video chat situation for the class, which I frankly don't think would work, given that this is a writing class, yeah, you can contact me. Super duper, right? I have my email here, but I do really want to encourage you to use Slack instead, because I don't know, professors usually get about 50 to 60 emails a day. A lot of them are from people who probably should not be emailing that much. It's not you all, it's usually colleagues who really just cannot resist the 4-page single-spaced email, right? And so sometimes your emails can get buried. And so that's the reason why I want to encourage you to use Slack to contact me, because you're going to get a much quicker response than the 24 to 48 hours, all right? I don't respond during the weekend. I think now that we're all often at home, we really need to like hold on to time, or we can just be human beings. So if you email me on like a Friday after 5, I'm not gonna, or Slack me, I'm not gonna see it, right, until Monday. All right, so just hold on to that and try to extend the same grace to me that I extend to you. And I think you'll be great about that. You can kind of see I hold my office hours on Zoom. There's the Zoom meeting ID right here and the Zoom password, which is Cupcake Y. I thought it was cute. All right. I would appreciate if you give me a heads up via Slack if you want to chat during my office hours, because someone else might be in my office hours, right? They're on a Zoom room. So just like if we were in person, you wouldn't be able to see that someone was in my office, right? So if you're in the waiting room, and you haven't given me an advance notice, then it generally means that someone else is in there. So just kind of keep that in mind. All right. Classroom policies: don't plagiarize. I don't know why you would. This is a creative writing class. Like, weird, right? Like, you would love writing, so just don't do it. It's shenanigans anyway when you do. So, and there's no reason to. This is not a hard class points wise. Yeah. With the Tumblr things, I kind of feel like because they're so easy, I'm not going to, my whole thing is I'm not going to like give you all makeup points, right? Because they're so easy to do. Some of them are even in class that like, it's one of those, if you snooze, you lose sort of situations. So think about that as it's really just an opportunity that you don't want to miss out on those points because they're easy, right? And you can't make them up. Unless, of course, you're sick or you're taking care of someone who is sick. And if that happens, I'm a human being. Please let me know, right? I'm not an asshole. The other thing that is just super huge, and I've mentioned this in my syllabus, I've already mentioned it in this video once, is please be kind to your peers when you're responding to each other's writing, all right? Sometimes I think when we're really stressed and when we're not face-to-face with someone, we can potentially say some things that we don't actually mean to come off the way that they are coming off, right? So just kind of be kind to each other. So that is the overview of the course, my friends. So thank you for watching this. And I will see you in the rest of these lovely videos and on Slack and on Tumblr. Okay? Take care.